Morning, everyone. It's Mr. Schlissel. Today we're going to talk about the human reproductive system, the structures that make it up, and their functions. You should have two things. You should have a picture of the human male reproductive system, and like this. And I'm going to ask you to go into the back of the room and grab one of those green classroom textbooks that we always use and look up in the back of the book where the human male reproductive system is, and you'll see a picture when you find the page just like this. And I'd like you to label the diagram or the handout that you have with all the structures. So at this point we'll pause the video. You'll go in the back at the textbook and start labeling it, and then come on back when everyone's done. It should take no more than 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll go over this. Okay, go ahead. Okay, at this point, hopefully you have labeled the entire diagram, structures 1 through 11, and how did you do? Well, to make sure that everybody has the exact structures in the right place, I'm going to just reveal all the structures here, and you can check. Did you label number 1 the scrotum, 2 the testes, 3 the epididymis, 4 the vas deferens? Another common name for the vas deferens is the sperm duct, so you might want to add that somewhere above or below line 4, sperm duct, D-U-C-T. Then you have 5 is the Cowper's gland, 6 is the rectum, 7 is referred to as the seminal vesicle, 8 is the urinary bladder, 9 is the prostate, 10 is the urethra, and 11 is the penis. So you're going to be handed another sheet where we can fill in some notes on the structures of all these things, and as I discuss them, the instructor or you can pause the video and take notes, fill in your notes, and then play the video and continue. So let's move on to the next activity here. So you should have a sheet, something similar to this, and let's write down a little bit about the functions of these structures. So the scrotum is the sac that the testes are located in, so it's down here. We labeled that as structure 1. An important function of the scrotum is obviously to hold the testes or the testicles, but more importantly, it also allows for optimum sperm production. Normally, optimum sperm production is about 1 to 2 degrees below body temperature. So this allows the testes to drop away from the body cavity and be at a little bit lower temperature than the human body. So if we use 98.6 as the normal body temperature, so it holds the testes at about a 96 degrees Fahrenheit, and that provides the optimum temperature for this sperm production. So let's pause the video, let's fill in our notes that we have, and then we'll continue. Okay, the next structure is the testes, and obviously from our discussion of meiosis, the testes produce sperm cells by meiosis, but they also produce an important hormone. Do you know that hormone? We learned about it when we did the endocrine system, and if you said testosterone, you are correct. So this one is a little bit of a review. The testes produce sperm cells and the male hormone testosterone. And can you recall what testosterone does? Well, testosterone gives males their sort of secondary sex characteristics we had mentioned. Gives them the deep voice, body and facial hair, and it builds muscle development and big muscle structures. And so we'll fill in our notes with the function of the testes, sperm cell production, and hormone testosterone production, as well as its function. Okay, again, anytime along this lecture, just pause the video and fill in your notes and then go back to play it. Okay, the next structure is the epididymis. Let's take another look at where that is. So epididymis was labeled number 3. It's a structure that lays right on top of the testes, and its function is the storage of the sperm cells. As sperm cells are made in the testes, they move on and mature inside the epididymis, and so it's like a storage tank for the sperm cells that are produced. Remember, sperm cells are continually being produced by males. And so if they're not going to be used, they'll be stored, and ultimately they'll die and be replaced as new sperm cells are continually produced. Okay, next. Okay, next is the penis. So that's the entire male reproductive organ. And we'll just sort of summarize that as that's the structure that will deliver the sperm in terms of internal fertilization into the female's reproductive tract or vagina. Okay, next. Whoop, let's do one at a time. So the urethra, let's look at where that is. And again, we discussed that in the human excretory system. So the urethra is number 10 in our structure, and it's the opening out the body. Now, of course, urine will be released from the urinary bladder out the urethra, but also sperm will travel through a few structures from the testes to the epididymis through the vas deferens and ultimately meet up near where the prostate is with the urethra. And so the urethra will play an important role in the delivery of sperm cells out the body for the human male. So let's put that one down. The vas deferens, again, or the sperm duct, is just the tube that leads from the epididymis to the urethra, so it will transfer the sperm out the body for the male. The next structure on our list are a couple of glands. So the glands are seminal vesicle, Cowper's gland, and prostate gland. You've probably heard at least of the prostate gland, as that tends to give men some difficulty as they age. And these glands are important because they help survival of the sperm cells as they leave the body. The seminal vesicle produces fluids that nourish the sperm cells. Just like any kind of cell, sperm cells need a source of nutrition. And so as the sperm cells move past the seminal vesicle, secretions are released into the sperm duct that help to give a glucose solution that helps to give the sperm cells the nutrition and energy that they need to swim. They have flagellum and they're constantly motile cells, and so that will help to nourish the sperm cells. Let's fill out our notes. Cowper's gland, okay, produces a slightly alkaline solution. You should recall from our study of pH, alkaline means a pH above 7, between maybe 7.1 and 14, but it produces a slightly alkaline solution of about an 8, and it helps to neutralize the female reproductive tract. The female reproductive tract is very acidic, and so as the sperm cells enter the female vagina and reproductive tract, they'll die if they're in an environment that's too acidic. And so Cowper's gland produces and neutralizes some of that acidity from the female reproductive tract. So let's pause the video and let's give you a minute to write this in. Okay, and the last gland that's important is called the prostate gland. So the prostate gland produces fluids that are needed to provide the watery environment for the sperm cells to swim. In external fertilization and internal fertilization, we said sperm cells have to be able to reach the egg cell. And so for males, the prostate gland, as sperm cells move through the vas deferens and into the urethra, get secretions from the prostate gland that will provide this watery environment needed for the sperm production to swim. Needed for the sperm to swim in that watery environment and reach the egg cell. So let's get this out of the way and let's fill that one in. Okay, the last two on our list are semen and the bladder. Semen is another term. Then semen is a combination of the sperm cells that were produced in the testes and all these fluids from these accessory glands, the seminal vesicle, Cowper's gland, and prostate gland. So when you combine all the fluids from these glands and the specific sperm cells themselves, this is referred to as semen. So it's slightly different than just the cells or the sperm cells. And last, again, is the bladder, which is the organ that stores urine in the excretory system. And we mention it because it's so close to the human reproductive system. Okay, and the last thing on our notes for today is a picture just like this that I have on the smartboard slide. And this is called a vasectomy. I know it's kind of scary to see this picture so early in the day, but do you know what structure has been cut here? This is a medical procedure that's done by doctors, and males sometimes choose to do this. Some of you might know what a vasectomy is, but can you guess what structures have been cut and tied off here compared to the before picture? Well, if you said the vas deferens or sperm duct, you would be correct. So here there's a little incision, and then it's sutured or tied off from the epididymis. And a vasectomy is a reproductive or a form of birth control that some men decide to do. And what will happen is that it will not allow the sperm cells to be released from the male body. They still will ejaculate semen from the glands, but they won't be able to get a female pregnant because there'll be no sperm cells in that semen. So it's a form of birth control. Some men decide to do that, and this way they don't have to worry about getting a female pregnant. And so let's just fill that in the bottom of our notes here. A birth control procedure for men where the vas deferens is cut and tied, preventing all these sperm cells from leaving the body. Okay, now to finish off our lesson today, I'm going to show you pretty much a 3-minute video, or summary video of the male reproductive system. And then what I'd like you to do after that is to follow up with the questions that remain in the back or the last page of your notes. There's a few questions, sum it up questions about the male reproductive system, and a diagram with all the structures that I'd like you to label of the male reproductive system. So I hope this was helpful. Let's watch the video and then follow up by finishing the worksheets.